Well, good evening, good afternoon, Guillaume Antalik. Hello.
Thank you, Piotr.
Thank you. This is good afternoon, everyone. Let me introduce, Dr. Guillaume Antalik, where you're docent, right? How do you say it in
Uh, so,
Slovenian?
so, yeah, Guillaume Montalic, yeah, doctor, yeah.
Okay, scientist, French, married to Slovenian and living in Slovenia, producing wine in Slovenia and teaching and making some research about the Slovenian or about wine, right?
Yeah,
So
about
French
wine.
living in our part of Europe. Guys, let's start Blau Frankish, Kek Frankos, Frankowka, Frankinia seminar. This will be we have to be flexible. And let's start. Guillaume, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Piotr. Yeah, my name is Guillaume Montalic, as I was introduced. So I'm living in Slovenia now for 6 years, and I'm a big fan of Blau Frankish. I have different activities, like associate professor at the University of Nova Gorica, on the western part of Slovenia, but also involved in winemaking in southern part of Slovenia, and I will come back to that point. So Piotr, you can go to the next slide. So I will introduce just a few words about, no, the previous one, please. Yeah, super. I will just say a few words to introduce the topic of this tasting session today, to introduce the Blau Frankish bit story in Central Europe. Just to give you just a few numbers to start. So the biggest producer is by far Hungary, but let's say followed by Austria, and let's say that Austrian put this variety on the map, and step after step the other countries are catching up, and that they are really the locomotive in terms of international recognition. And then of course we find it in different countries like Czech Republic, Slovakia, Croatia, also Slovenia, a little bit in Italy. And actually, it's a real heritage from former Austro-Hungarian Empire. Next one, Piotr. But just to tease a little bit my Austrian friends, there was some study done like a few years ago, in 2016, some German people who suggested via DNA analysis that Blau Frankish could originates from Lower Styria. It's coming from the cross from two varieties, the very well known, the Casanova of the eastern of the whole Europe, which is Blau, which is actually one of the parents of many varieties around Europe, and another much more obscure variety, which is Blau Zimmertraube. And this cross-checking the data, they suggested that the cross happened somewhere in Lower Styria, which is nowadays Slovenia. But for me, it's more a real heritage from the Austro-Hungarian Empire that we find everywhere in this former region than the real Slovene variety. Okay, of course it is Slovene, but not only. Next one. So now maybe before leaving the floor to all the producers that will present their own country and their own wine, maybe just a few words about why this variety is fantastic, is great, and why a French guy is presenting that today. Besides my background, I really fall in love with this variety. I have to say that I stay in Slovenia first because of my wife, so otherwise I will be sleeping outside, and it's 20 centimeters of snow currently, so better to stay inside. But besides that, this variety really make us stay here in Slovenia because we understood all what this variety can offer. First, you can have very diverse style of wine, from light, easy to drink red to something which is world class, super complex. Then it's a wine which is a variety that can make wine with age beautifully. And in general, great Blau Frankish needs at least 8, 9, 10 years to show all the potential, and of course can age much longer. And finally, something that really fascinates me, it's the capacity of this variety to be a real sponge for terroir. Actually, when you plant it somewhere, it will give really great results. You plant it I don't know, 20 kilometers away, different terroir you will see, and you don't have to go so far. You will see the profile is can be quite different. Still with this red line, which is freshness, elegance, which make this variety really trendy on the international market. So I hope that, and I am sure that you will see this terroir effect with the flights that you're going to have tonight. Same variety, different countries, different region in each country. I think will be a beautiful example of what this variety can offer across Central Europe. So enjoy your flights, and I will see you afterwards on the Slovene session.
Thank you, Guillaume. Thank you very much for your intro. And now, ladies and gentlemen, first country, which is Czech Republic, and Klara Kolarova and her two friends. And we start with Frankovka. Yeah, Jan Stavek and Martin Olechla, if I'm not wrong. Well, Klara, you have to press the two buttons. Yeah, that's what Guillaume did. Yeah, hello, hi.
So it was easy. Hello.
That was easy this time. Yeah, perfect. So I leave you alone like a grown up, right? So the floor is yours, guys.
Thank you. Thanks. So welcome everyone to this beautiful seminar about one of the greatest local grape variety we have, Blau Fränkisch. And we are here in Moravia, so the region where Blau Fränkisch is planted mostly. And I'm here with my two colleagues, winemakers. So I will just do a short introduction on the Czech Republic and the wine situation we have. And then I will pass the word to the two guys next to me. So first of all, we are definitely not a big wine country. It's 17,870 hectares at the moment that are recently planted. And there are two wine regions. One is in the north. It's called Bohemia. It's really tiny and it's cold. So there is no Blau Fränkisch there. So we will be focusing on the southern part of Moravia, which you will find on the border with Austria and Slovakia. So it's continental climate, and we have several various soil types. We will maybe talk about the affinity of the soil and Blau Fränkisch later when we do the tasting of the two wines, because they come from two very, very different terroirs. So maybe we can move to the next slide, please. Thank you. So just to give you an idea about the Czech grape variety, so the top 5 grapes are white. So there is no Blau Fränkisch. No, we don't see it actually. It's not there. So we are really focusing more on white grapes. So it's Grunewaldliner, Miller, Thurgau, Riesling, Veltliner, and Pinot Gris. But of course, we do have our darlings in reds. And maybe we can move to the next slide, please. And here comes the Blau Fränkisch. So it's number 6 in the plantations. So nearly 1,000 hectares is planted. And it is gaining, I would say, much more of a good name. Because what happened with the grape variety during the history, because history is always important, and sometimes it also gives a lot of influence on our drinking patterns. So the Blau Fränkisch was a grape that was probably not seen as well as in other countries, because it was connected in history with not as good wines during communism. Where you could find a bottle of wine that was named Blau Fränkisch, but it didn't really have to do anything with the quality and with the grape variety as we recognize it now. But as we all know, it's quite difficult to change the behavior of people. So we have been slowly working on that. And also thanks to some of the wines that are created under the Czech appellation system, which has been created, I would say, some 10 years ago. So we are really working on it. But thanks to these small projects, we, I think, showed to the Czech customers that that Blau Fränkisch is definitely a grape we have to count on with, and that it is a grape variety that really can also demonstrate the greatness of it in Czech Republic. And also, what we like about it is that we can compare, of course, the uniqueness of the grape in Czech Republic with the other countries that are, of course, that you will be tasting now. So, Blau Frankish is number 6. And then the second grape variety that we plant is Saint Laurent, and so this is also a local grape variety, but not gaining as much respect, I would say, as Blau Frankish. And then only comes Pinot Noir with 700 hectares. So you can really see that Blau Frankish is the dominant grape here. So if we can move to the next slide. And here you can now have the idea of the vineyards we have in Czech Republic. So I'm sure most of you know Prague, the main capital, and the small dots that are around is the Bohemian region. It's even cooler, so really based with Pinot Blanc, Pinot Gris, Pinot Noir, and Riesling grape varieties. But as I said from the beginning, it's really tiny. So the focus will be on Moravian part. So this is the bigger one under Brno region, Brno city. So this you know pretty well because as you go, it's quite quick from Poland to come to Moravia through Brno. And as we have been on the on the wine trade in, I think it was November in Poland, we have met many people who actually visited Czech Republic, and so you probably know the region quite well by your own experience. So here you can see we have 4 different subregions. So the yellow one, Slovácka, is I would say maybe the warmest one. It borders with Austria and Slovakia, and there you can have really like a wide plantations of different grape varieties. So the other one, the one on the other side, the blue one, is called Znojemska, and this one is really home of white grape varieties, just like the green one. So we will focus, and now I have made, of course, a horrible mistake because I said the blue one is focusing only on white grapes, but we will be tasting one of the Blau Frankisches from here. But I would say it's a small universe in between of the white wine. So you will get the explanation very soon. And so we will be focusing mostly on the Velkopavlovická wine region today, and Dolní Kounice, which is the small universe. So I will maybe pass now the word to Jan Stavek, who is the winemaker from, this is just a small recovery on the numbers on the grape variety. So maybe we can pass on that. It only says a few things about just few numbers. Yes, so Jan Stavek. So I will pass the word to the next wine, and I will get some wine.
Okay. So Piotr, first slide, please. The slide, yes, this one. Thank you. Hello to everybody. Let me introduce myself and our family winery, which is focused on this estate or court, which was built my great-grandfather 1898. So he was, I think, the very important winemaker in our village, but it is a past, and maybe you know it that we have some communism, socialism period in Czech Republic, so it was not possible to produce the wine. So we maybe, or my grandfather and my father can do it, but only for the family and friends, but not to sell it. So my grandfather stopped the producing of the wine during the 40s, 50s, after the war, and so maybe 50s, 60s, and I restarted 20 years ago after graduating in the university in a Lednice faculty, to rebuild this estate and to continue with the tradition of winemaking in our family. Next slide, please. Yes, here's something about our and vineyards. We are, as Clara said, the Moravia region is. There are 4 different subregions. We are in Velkopavlovitska region, which is a region known for plantation of red varieties, and especially Frankovka, as it is Blau Frankish set in Czech Republic, is most common variety here. You can see here the vineyards only planted by the Blau Frankish, and you can see also some animals here plantation, and maybe some of you who are most focused in agronomy, you can see that we do it in our family winery with nature. Our wines, all our wines or our vineyards are in organic farming. Next slide, please. Yes. As you can see, the grapes of Frankovka, Blau Frankish, is very nice. You can see the color, not only the berries, very dark color, but also all the grapes is very nice. So I think that we have the opportunity to work with very noblesse variety. Next slide. Yes, our family have this cellar, and it is the oldest cellar in our village, and in this cellar we have more than 70 different barrels for maturing our red wines, especially Frankovka wines. You can see here on the right side small barrique barrels, which are from different coopers, from French, also Slavonian oak, and on the left side, very old barrels in which mature this wine. You have in your glass, I think, our wine, which is called Karmazin. Karmazin is one of the synonym of Frankovka variety, and the Frankovka variety was called Karmazin in our village 200 years ago. And we produce this wine in a very, very old way, and that's why we use also old name of this variety. You can see here that it is from Bavce vineyard. This is a southeast exposition with altitude 224 meters. Soil here is very light, sandy soil, and the plantation was in 1985. So the vintage, which is in the glass, is 2019. Very dry wine and a little bit lighter if we speak about the alcohol, only 12.5. But it is very characteristic for this wine. If we use the grapes for Karmazin wine, we use grapes which produce a wine around 12 till 13 degrees of alcohol. So the production of the bottles is not so high, 3,500 bottles. We harvested all our vineyard by hand. 1 month cold maceration in open vats. It is very important because, as I said, this wine was made like a very old rustic technology. So that's why open vats. It was racked into the old oak barrels, 20, 40, and also 90 years old, which used my great-grandfather František, and he was the establisher of the winery. And after it was 20 months matured on these barrels without filtration to the bottle.
Sorry, Jan, just one question coming back. Residual sugar, this is 0.1 gram
Yes,
per liter?
it's zero, completely zero, because
It's completely zero. Okay, so took wrong with the notes. And there are 2 questions in chat. Since which century is this region of Moravia making wine? And the other question is, how did the organic production introduction impact your wine, your sales?
Okay, the first question is about the history of the Producing wine in Moravia, it is more than 800 years ago. We have some how to say it, in literature, notes in the literature, mostly if there was some cluster. So there was the vineyards and so on. So it is more than 800 years. We know that it is more. It could be also 1,000. And the second question is yes, the organic production. It is a question that we want to do it. It is our philosophy, and the market in Czech Republic is a little bit different. The customers in Czech Republic don't want to know that it is organic or no organic, but it is better in export. We have maybe 15%, maybe 20% of our wine go to abroad, and the customers here want wine from organic production.
Okay, thank you. So
I'm not sure if I have. Yes, thank you for attention, and this is the youngest from our family, Anna. Say goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. So just let me just inform that you have no importer by the moment in Poland, no distributor.
No, we have importer. It is company Future Trading. It is in Lodz. I'm not sure if the pronunciation is good. Lodz city.
Łódź, yes.
Lodz, yes.
Łódź is Łódź, yeah. And the company name is?
The Moravian Wine Brands. Maybe
Okay.
I will send it to the chat. The right name. Of
Perfect. Yes. That would be great. Okay, and the price of the wine is roughly in Czech Republic is 12 euro on the shelf.
Yes.
And the total production is about 3,500 bottles
of this wine. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you, Jan. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And now, this is Martin, if I'm not mistaken.
You are not mistaken.
Good. Martin, go on, please.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Martin. In this picture, you can see my family. On the left side, that's me. Then back to you. Then it's my older brother. Then my father, my mother, my grandpa, and grandma. Last year we celebrate 30 years anniversary. So there are two winters that found our winery. You can see Václav Trpělka, that's my grandmother, and Luboš Oulehla, my father. Nowadays we cultivate over 30 hectares of vineyards in Dolní Kounice. The location has a great history, like say Jan or Honza. In 1184, there was a monastery called Rosa Celi in Dolní Kounice, and from this year we know that in Dolní Kounice were vineyards, so it's about 800 years. In this picture that you can see, there is our biggest cellar. It's from 1992. You can see on the left side the big barrels. Everyone has about 4,000 liters, and every red wine we made were minimum 1 year on this big barrel. We don't get Frankovka in barrique barrels because of the soil. So please, next slide. on this picture, in this picture, you can see our vineyards in a location called Karlov. The wine you have in your glasses, I hope, is not from this location, but you can see it on the right side down the hill. Next slide, please. Yeah, there you can see grape of Frankovka and the oldest vineyard we have is about 50 years old. And I will say something about the terroir. More over the 700 million years, there was a volcano in Dolní Kounice, and from this grows it's called granodiorat, granite, and that's why we don't put Frankovka into barrique barrels, because the soil in Dolní Kounice is that special that we don't want to I don't know how to influence the texture of the wine. So next slide, please. Yeah, this one is Frankovka 2018 from area Manivách. It's southwest explosion, and altitude is about 242 meters. The soil is sandy and loam, and we have that one is about 40 years old. This vineyard, and it's also only 12.5% of alcohol, like Honza's wine, and we have 5,400 bottles of this wine. Not nowadays, but every year. So it's harvested only by hand, and it was one month called fermentation in vinificator, in stainless vinificator. Then it was racked into the big old oak barrel that you saw on a few slides 5 minutes later. And everyone is about 4,000 liter, like I say, and in this barrel it was 2 years. Yeah, and then without filtration into the bottle. There you can see, I will not read it all, but if you want, you can. You can see in this, we have this in every label in Czech language, and you can read there some matches with food, and I think that's all.
Yeah, the Christmas cookies. The Christmas cookies is the
most.
Good. Thank you very much, Martin.
And in this slide, there you can see the rocks and the youngest vineyard. It was in 1918 in this vineyard, and there are many plants about or bushes, 5,400 in 1 hectare. So we push the growth more deeply with this density. And
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a question from Dorley, 2018, I guess, and
Yes.
it
Yeah,
is
yeah, it's
2018.
2018.
Yeah, thank you very much, Martin. No importer, or am I
No, we don't have any importer in Poland.
right? Total production is, as you said, 5,300. Price, shelf price is 13 euro. Thank you, guys. Well done. It's the first presence ever of Czechs, of Moravian in Slovakian, in God, in Slovakia. It's not Slovakia. Slovakia is the next one. And now it's Vlad Magula from Slovakia. Hello,
Thank
Vlad.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye bye. Stay with us. Hi, Vlad.
Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry. Dzień
Good
dobry.
evening, everyone. Very happy to be here. I just realized I'm really sorry I do not have the flight of all the bottles with me like all of you do, because there are some really great treats in your glasses in this lineup. So I hope you will enjoy it. Let me take this opportunity to share a few little facts about wine in Slovakia generally, and then Frankovka, of course, and Frankovka from Magula Winery. My name is Vladimir. I am from a small village called Sucha nad Parnou, near the town of Trnava, in the southwestern part of Slovakia, in small Carpathian mountain region. If you look at the screen now, I just wanted to put this discussion in the context, because Blau Frankish or Frankovka is not only defined by our shared history as a part of Austrian Empire or the Habsburg Empire, and the biggest rise of Frankovka actually was after the phylloxera crisis, and after that, the biggest winner in terms of new plantation actually was Frankovka vineyards in all the Habsburg Empire countries. But if you look at the slide, you can see the Pannonian Basin that is kind of geographically connecting this region of ours and the winemakers that are meeting tonight for this tasting. It's just a little thought to share with you. We can move to the next slide. Slovakia is not a large winemaking country. We only have about 15,000 registered vineyards. Unfortunately, the actually farmed vineyard area is even a little smaller. The two largest winemaking areas are Small Carpathian, that's the blue one in the west, and the Southern Slovakian, that's the orange one in the south. And even though Slovakia is not so large in terms of the size of the vineyards, it's very diverse in terms of climate and soil types. You start with the very rocky and granite-like soils in the small Carpathian Mountains, but for instance, our winery, which is also part of small Carpathians, we have loose soil, which is more typical for the southern Slovakia. Then you have more of kind of volcanic soil in the central Slovakian central Slovakian area, and also predominantly volcanic soil in the East Slovakian and Tokaj areas. I think that's just very briefly the general situation. Regarding Frankovka, the total area of vineyards of Frankovka, according to our vineyards register as of 2020, is 1,258 hectares, which is about 9% of total vineyard area of Slovakia. If we are talking about the winemaking vineyards, because in that 15,000 hectares, it was also not all the vineyards are for making wine. And it is also very lively grape. So in terms of new plantations, you can see that 7% of this area is actually just under 3 years. So it's being planted recently. And it's also 30% of the blue grapes. So by far the largest blue grape variety. The next one is Saint Laurent with just about a little over 800 hectares. So it's 2/3 of the Blau Frankish area. And also it is number 3 among the grape varieties in general in Slovakia. So the first one is, of course, Grunewaldlina with just a moment, with 1,900 hectares. Then you have Welsh Riesling Vlašský with 1,460 hectares, and number 3 is Blau Frankish Frankovka. So you can see it's not only very important in terms of quality and great aging potential wines, but also in Slovakia it is also very, very relevant grape variety in terms of its proportion of the winemaking market. Next slide, please. That's it. So we can move to a few words about the wine itself and our winery. Maybe the next slide now. Like I said, we are a Magula family winery. This is our family. The picture is actually about 10 years old now, so we need to make a new one, but it is made in the vineyard of Rosenberg, where we are growing this Blau Frankish, this Frankovka that you are having in your glass right now. We are I'm considering myself to be the 4th generation. However, it sounds more impressive than it actually is, because we had the 40 years of communism here, and the family tradition that was just that was having a good start in 1930s was interrupted, and we restarted the winery with my parents in 2007 when we planted the Frankovka vineyard, which is our flagship vineyard and the most important vineyard we have at the moment. Here in this picture, you can see me with my sons, who are also a little bit bigger at the moment, but still kind of like the idea of making wine, even though they more like the idea rather than the work itself. Here you can see us making the most special wine, which is Frankovka Unplugged, which is done completely without any use of machines. All of our vineyards are farmed organically since 2012. It's really important for us to have the vineyards. We never buy any grapes, so all the wines are from our own vineyards. Like I said, the vineyards are farmed organically since 2012, biodynamically since 2016. And in the cellar, I'm always trying to maintain as low intervention approach as possible, which means none of the wines are ever fined or filtered, not even the white wines. All of the wines are fermenting spontaneously. And this is one of the older vineyards that we have. We have purchased this sometime after we started making wine. It's a Blau Portuguesa. Yes, Piotr? You need to turn your mic on.
Yeah, thank you. Good, good point. I just we're just doing some magic, just changing the presentation, as apparently this was the previous version, and now you will see it. Perhaps Vinho Magula will change into Family Winery Magula. If it works, it doesn't.
Doesn't.
No, no matter, it will change somehow. You know, those things always happen. So go on, please. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
So like I said, it's a low intervention approach. no additives in the cellar, with the exception of a small amount of sulfites that we are trying to introduce, usually just as the last step before the bottling. Um, this is just harvest. Also, the next slide, if you move again, we are in the Frankovka vineyard. You can see it's really black, the berries. We are always letting the grapes ripen really nicely. It's the last harvest of the year, always usually around half of October, and the wine generally tends to have about 13% of alcohol, and still really nice acidity. If you look at this vineyard, the soil is more than 10 meters, probably 20 meters underground. So it's really like the name of our village is Sucha nad Parną. So if you are Polish, you probably understand Sucha means dry. So it is really a dry place. Can we have the wine analysis maybe? Or
Wait, coming back to the presentation, right?
Oh yeah.
Magura family winery. Yes. So this is the right version of present.
Now we have the correct name. Great.
Yes, and the horses.
Not
Good. So we are coming to the wine analysis, right?
My wife. She has 4 horses in our farm. Black Lipizzaner. These are 2 of them. Next to our Blau Portuguesa vineyard, which is Blau Portuguesa is the most typical grape of our region, and these are all 4 of them. And Frankovka, I think, is the most important wine of the region, of the Central Europe region. Now to the wine. It's vintage 2018, which was super dry and super hot. Generally, the wines, the harvest was much earlier. But what I really appreciate about Frankovka, that even though most of the grapes we had to harvest a couple of weeks earlier because they were too ripe, Frankovka was ripening really calmly and slowly, and we did the harvest maybe 10 days earlier, less than 10 days earlier than usually. The wine, thank you for making that bigger. The wine always spends about 6 weeks in open vats on skins, and then it's racked to the barrels. It's combination of new and old barrels, and there the wine rested for 24 months, and after that was bottled and rested almost a year in a bottle before we released it in the last November to be drank and enjoyed. As you can see, there is very little residual sugar, just a little over 0.3 grams, and there is great acidity, great backbone to the wine, which allows it, I think, for a very good and promising future in the aging. Especially in a vintage like 2018, the acidity of the vineyard is a sign it's a great site. It's a really we are very fortunate to inherit this amazing place to grow grapes on it, because every year, whether it is cold and wet or dry and hot, the wines are, I would not say always exceptional, but always interesting and always above average of this available at our sites. So I hope
Okay. Thank you. First comment in the chat. Beautifully balanced wine. Love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and 7.32. Yes, that's the highest acidity amongst the wines today.
It's pretty low for our Blau Frankish.
Okay, good. Your total production is 2,000 something, right? But
yes, total production of the winery is 24,000. This price in the winery for retail customers costs 18 euros. And I think you were asking about importers to Poland. We are currently working with Vino Blisko from Warsaw. So maybe you know the guys.
We know
And
the guys. We know the guys. Yeah. Vino Bisco is Maciej Sondi, I believe.
yeah, it's Maciej Sojdny and Artur
Yeah.
Artur is the
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vlad. Very well done. How do
Thank
you
you.
like it, guys? Open up a little bit and make some comments, please. And thank you. Now we are passing to Zoltan Hyman, and this will be, yes, as I said, this will be for the first time ever the TV. Yes, Zoltan, you will see Zoltan from the vineyard during the day. Thank you, Vlad. Well, if it works, this is Hungary, boys. We are in Hungary, Hyman and Fiai. Yes, and we will see Vlad, just coming back to Vlad, we will see perhaps Vlad in 2 weeks during the Blue of the Danube session. So if you like this wine, you will see him again. And now, yes, this is it. Let's start it. And well, and now Hungary and Zoltan Hyman Jr. again. Hello, Zoltan.
Hi, hello everybody. I'm
Hello.
sorry I couldn't join you this night, but I'm happy to join you in recording. So yes, my job is to talk a little bit about Hungarian cake francois, or the Hungarian interpretation of it, and then to introduce you our wine. So in Hungary, cake francois is grown on nearly 8,000 hectares. It's the first red variety of Hungary, and I think first and foremost there is many different styles of cake francois you would find from Hungary. I do believe that it's mostly interesting as a terroir variety, so not emphasizing too much the new wooden character, or rather a neutral type of vinification. And then it shows really nicely the differences among wine regions, and there I definitely would include neighboring countries as well as Hungary, so it's nice to be in this discussion. So you would find Hungary cake francois in mostly every wine region, maybe except Tokaj. And there is definitely some important cuvées also based on cake francois, like Bikaver from Eger and Szexárd. Regarding my region, I am coming from the south of Hungary, from Szexárd. As you can see, towards the east, there is the large Hungarian plain, and if you continue towards the west, we are on the first slopes of the Pannonian hills, the Trans-Danubian hills. In Szexárd, it's also the most important variety cake francois, and I think the terroir influences this wine quite a lot. So it shows that we are working on loess soils. Definitely loess soils give cake francois, I think, a very mellow, quite fruit forward, quite charming side. And also we are probably the warmest cake francois that you are tasting right now, so there's definitely some ripeness that is typical for Szexárd. But still, I think the variety copes really well with the global warming effects. So whereas international varieties are often tending to be very easily overripe, cake francois is balancing really well, and usually with the alcohol levels of 13.5%, it yields a very ripe expression of the variety. The single vineyard that I'm showing you now is Botikarest cake francois from 2020. 2020 is generally a quite balanced, but all in all warm and quite ripe vintage. And Botikarest, the single vineyard, is one of our most protected vineyards. So it's a northern-facing site. From two sides, it's protected by forest. So all in all, it yields a very lightweight expression of the variety, quite with fragile aromas, very playful. As you can see on these pictures as well, we are working with manual harvest, with the selected harvest, which we do the selection ourselves with my family members. We are using whole bunches in all of our fermentations of cake francois, because I do believe that it gives the variety a bit more structure and a bit more acid drivenness, and also a very intensive tannin structure that kind of elongates the sip. And on this picture, this is more of a joke, but we are doing some food stomped lots as well. In this case, it's around 5% of whole bunches food stomp that we have included in this wine as a kind of an aromatic playfulness component. The aging of this wine is done in large traditional barrels, and I intentionally work with quite short aging, so 9 to 11 months. Usually we bottle before the harvest, the next harvest. And my intentions would be to keep as much primary aromatics of this variety as possible, and not overly push the aged character of the wine. On the picture, you can still see the Bucharest vineyard, where this wine comes from. And I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Zoltan. Well, I can't say stay with us as you apparently you can't stay with us. However, tell me just a few words. Your distributor in Poland. This is Navino, if I remember.
Yes, we are working historically with Navino as well, and I think you would find this wine with Rafavino as well.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, but besides, you're open to another.
We are quite open. Yes, I think there is more opportunity in Poland than what we sell right now. So I'm quite interested in finding new partners as well.
Good. Well, and the shelf price of this wine?
The shelf price is 24 euros.
24 euros in Hungary. Right, good. So the rest of the information will be displayed at the end of the presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. And stay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you. Well, very strange. Yeah, nice guys from Hungary. Nice Zoltan Hyman. Very strange impression altogether. Well, means myself. Yeah, see. Well, now, boys or guys, yes, we have to change. We have to switch a little bit. Now it's Dorley Moore. Because Dorley has to leave. So it's not Slovenia now. This is Dorley Moore. Hello, Dorley. If you are still with us, yes, she is with us. Hello, Dorley.
Hello.
Hello. So this is you and your time. I'm just turning off myself, and please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everybody in Poland. I have to excuse myself for two things. One is that I have to rush out because we are singing a big concert on Sunday, and I have to go to the rehearsal. We are singing Bach. And the second one is that I missed out in all the preparation, and I didn't send in good slides for you because I was last week in Chile. I just returned yesterday, but I just want to give you 2 sentences about the travel that I did with some journalists from Europe. We went to Chile just before their harvest. And this is a fantastic opportunity because we as producers usually just before harvest we can't get out and we can't travel, and it is very, very interesting to see at which point the maturity is over there and how long they still will wait, and what the result is very powerful wines, of course, and wines that are extremely successful around the world. And in terms of like sugar and presence, I would be very, very nervous and I would pick them immediately now, but they still wait because they're quite green and at the seeds and so on. And I again was I got convinced again that our regions are very privileged that we are so dry, and that we have this very special continental climate in all our regions that are here together, and that we should be very happy about it, and that we should be very, very keen to transmit that to the world, that due to our climate we can produce freshness and elegance and light-footedness, and that we don't need to copy any powerful, heavy blockbuster wines from around the world, because we have our special climate from this Central European place. And so that means I did not prepare any more slides, but I was very happy to see Vlad's map just some minutes before, because what we usually do, we producers, we focus very much on the place on where we come from, which is okay and it's right. But it's very good to enlarge our own view a little bit and to see the big context. And so Vlad's map that showed beautifully the whole, yes, before, a little bit back again, yeah, that the whole Central Europe picture. And actually, if you want to see where my vineyards is, it's like one of the points where it says Pannonian Basin, the most left of that. Anyhow, I will show that later. But I think it's fantastic that we got this map in, and I was very, very happy, because it really shows that we are part of a big thing, even so we are very tiny splitted countries, but the geographic thing unifies us all together. And that's the reason why Blaufränkisch or Keck Frankosch or Frankowka comes from that place, which is a tiny place in comparison with New World wine growing. So I did not bring a map, but if you want, you can follow, and I write it down here on my website, because you find the website of the region and also of my vineyards. You find the map of the region and of my vineyards on the website, and if you go on vines, you'll see it. And here you have one picture of Roterd, which is the one vineyard on Spitzerberg that I have sent in for the tasting. I chose 2018 for several reasons. One is because I think the other Austrian wines will also be 18, and I think it's always nice to compare the same vintage to better understand the differences of the spots. And the other thing is that 2018 has had a very, very bad image of being very hot, very powerful, because of being very dry. And I think that at the moment 18 starts to open a little bit. It has been really a closed wine with closed tannins for a long time, but I think 18 starts now to open. And this is one of my single vineyards on the Spitzerberg. Ried Roterd, it's actually the place where my grandmother had a tiny vineyard, and I have tried to get to rent or to buy the neighboring spots so that it becomes a little bit more critical mass in terms also of organic working, which we do. And yes, it is one of the places on Spitzerberg that maybe has a little bit more argile, so it has a creaminess that I really adore. To me, the Roterd is the most, I call it most feminine spots on the Spitzerberg, and I think this 18 now shows it already a little bit. The wine is, as all our wines, as I said, grown organic. We do ferment it with wild yeasts. We do foot stomping, of course. At least 25 to 30% of every wine is made from foot stomp grapes. It's a quite cool fermentation, not because we control the temperature, but because the ambient temperature is quite cool. So it's a soft and long, extended, but very slow fermentation, which I think is also guaranteeing pure aromas, precise aromas, and not going too jammy, which I like a lot. And then after 1 year in in a smaller barrel, we do the blend of the different spots, and it stays for a second year in a larger cask. And then we bottle the wine without filtration, and that might cause some sediment in one or the other bottle. So don't be astonished if you find some solids in your bottle. It's just because it's not filtered. And yes, I see the question. We have, of course, effects of climate change. We harvest 5 to 6 weeks earlier, 5 to 6 weeks earlier than only 20 years ago. It might have to do also with lower yields, which makes the grapes ripen earlier. But it's definitely an effect of climate change. And we have very, very slow yields. Low yields. We have about between 2,500 and 3,500 kilos per hectare, which is quite low, I think. And just coming back from Chile, I would say, yes, of course, we could increase our yield by irrigation. But I'm also sure that with irrigation, in the end, we would have higher alcohols, because photosynthesis, in the formula of photosynthesis, there is H2O, there is water in. And if you don't have water, the vines produce less sugar. That's clear. And for me, that's what I mean with the continental climate we have is we can be very proud of it, that we make wines that don't have 15 alcohol, and we should be very aware of that. That's and help our wines to stay in that lower, which is nowadays lower alcohol, because it's wonderfully drinkable and it gives a lot of freshness that we would really celebrate, and make sure that in all our regions that we are keen on that and proud of it, and don't want to make heavy wines with a lot of oak. That was my short part. I hope it's okay for you, Piotr.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. Just one correction. The other wines from Austria are from 2019.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, even. Yeah.
I thought,
That's fine. That's fine.
I did the wrong thing. Sorry.
No. Your importer in Poland. This is Mielżyński.
Yes.
This is difficult name. Yeah. Mielżyński.
Yes, Melchinski. And
Yeah.
I also will start to work with Vininova.
Yeah. Yes.
They
So
will
you
get
have
also the
two
2000.
importers in Poland, and the shelf price in Austria is 42.
Of this wine is 42, yes.
42 euro. Great.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Total production is about 2,000 bottles.
This wine is 2,000 bottles. Altogether is about 40,000 bottles from 12 hectares. So it's really low yields.
Thank you. Thank you. So go singing Bach
Yes.
and send us the video or whatever recording of this.
Okay.
I'd love to see you singing Bach.
Concerthouse, at the Concerthouse on Sunday.
Good.
Yeah.
We'll be there. We'll be there. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Guys, some comments in chat is coming. And now Guillaume Montalic again. Guillaume. Nice to see you, Dory. Yes. And Guillaume, you're completely black now.
It should be better. I just wait.
Yeah.
How you?
No, it's fine. You know, the voice is important.
It was
already
just
saw your face, so you know how it is.
Like that will be better.
Perfect. Guillaume, your time. Go on, please.
Okay. Thanks, Piotr. Hello again. I will introduce now the Slovenian session with few slides before leaving the floor to my colleague that will be speaking about the wine. So we have 4 wines today coming from 4 different regions or sub-region. So you can see that the Slovenia, here you have the Slovenia winemaking regions. let's say they are divided in three main big regions. You have the on the northeastern part, the Steyerska or Podravie region. The green one, which is where you will find the most Modra Frankinja or Blau Frankish. Modra Frankinja is the name here in Slovenia, and with different sub-regions that you will visit today. And on the western part, which is probably the most popular one region so far here in Slovenia, because they are closer to Italy. It's the Primorska region with Brda, Vipava, Kras, and Istria, and you almost don't find Modra Frankinja there, except in the upper part of Vipava Valley here, Vipavska Dolina, because it's kind of heritage as well from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And some producers started to play again with Modra Frankinja, but more in cuvée with some other autochthon variety. Okay, so let's go to the next slides. So as I said, three main growing regions. Sorry. Okay, that's the numbers which are given by the main. We don't have board in Slovenia, but it's more the touristic board promoting the wine. So 30,000 wine growers, but in fact it's about probably 1,000 serious winemakers. But there is a very strong wine culture in Slovenia, like it is the case in all this Pannonian area. But what is most interesting for you probably is to see the production. You can see that the biggest in terms of size and number of hectares, it's the Podravie northeastern and Primorska, which is on the west, and Posavie region, which is by far the lowest productive region. And you have the same picture on the left if you look at the volume. Okay, next one, Piotr, please. So if we come to the varieties, so Slovenia, it's about 70% of white wine, 30% of red wine, and quite a diverse country. 51 recommended and authorized varieties. So you see 36 white, 15 red. And you have the percentage here, and Modra Frankinja represents 4% of the planted vineyards, which is low, but as you can see, is not much different compared to some other varieties, because first, as I said, it's only 30% of red and 70% of white, and it's quite diverse in a small surface area of plantation, nearly 50,000 hectares. Next one, please. Next slides. Okay, thank you. Yeah, well, okay. So if you see, yeah, that's the gradual evolution of the plantation of Modra Frankinja in Slovenia. So it's pretty stable, started to drop a little bit, but we have to see what is the trend. It's around between 600 and 700 hectares. So you see, I think we are tonight the country with the the lowest area in terms of plantation of Modra Frankinja, but it's the kind of same range of size as Czechia or Slovakia. Okay, next one. And here you have the vineyard area by district. So as I said before, the most planted variety is in Dolenska, the white by far, for one historical reason. They used to produce in this region, so Dolenska, it's this green part, remember from the first, the map of Slovenia. It is historically, they used to use Modra Frankinja to make a local blend that called Sviček. It was important, and it was in the past high production of this wine, so that's why light red wine, that's why Modra Frankinja used to be planted quite a lot there, but now people are moving more and more to craft a serious red wine in the region, and you have some example tonight. And then you go to some other region that we go today: Dolenska, Bizeljsko-Semič, Bela Krajina, where I'm coming from actually, and the last one from Slovenia, which will be from Pek-Morje, which is the very northeast of Slovenia. Okay, next one. And then just to finished to introduce the Slovenia wine scene and the Slovenian Moder-Frankinja wine scene. I would say like a bit like it was told a few minutes like earlier. In the past, Moder-Frankinja didn't have a big reputation in Slovenia because it was more associated to Posavie region, which was not considered as the best wine region used for this very light red acidic blend, which is Sviček. And it became more and more popular because the people from the region started to realize there is high potential in this variety, started to push and to work with local restaurants. And there is as well some strong cooperation, especially in Sionitsa, organizing different events. Actually, you have some example done here. Last year, we organized our first Blue Franc think tank, invited international people like Jamie Goods. You can see we had some article on Wine Anorak. We had Paz Levinson coming, David Chilner from Venus, and etc. So different international guests. Dolly was there, Zoltan was there as well, to speak and to promote the Blau Frankish at the international level. And so all these activities which have been done for the last year really contributed to start to put Moder-Frankinja more on the map, and it will be continued. So we also have quite very diverse terroir, small size of vineyards, but very different climate and soil. So you have very versatile type of red. And really, when I will finish with that, Dolly was speaking about climate change, but actually I would say that in the region where Moder-Frankinja is planted in Slovenia, climate change is really an advantage so far. And nowadays we are able to craft some wine that maybe in the past we are not able to do. We have enough water, and to have a little bit less is not a bad thing in our region. And you will test that tonight with the 4 winemakers with us. Piotr, just a thing, I don't know if you had any news from Uroš. Because as he sent me a text, he's not sure that he could make it, so I might present his wine also. Okay?
Yes, at the end. Yeah, in the end. Good, perfect. Thank you very much, Guillaume. Very well done. And now it's Micha, right? Now it's Micha Ritonia from Albiana. Is that right, Guillaume?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
This is according to your.
It should be Micha, Albiana, and then we'll go to Bizelsko, so Dorenska, Bizelsko,
Kreško, Šuklje, and at the end, yes.
And Malov. Yep.
Yes,
exactly.
That was your order of plates. Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And Micha. Hello, Micha.
Okay. Hi, guys.
Hi. So
really having a good time. So much information, and so good to see all of those guys really putting all the work and thoughts on the Blau Frankish movement. It's amazing variety, and I think we all have something in common, and that is in some point we are all in love with this variety. So I can see we have a lot of things in common. First of all, I would like to start with telling some just facts about Dolenska region. As Guillaume has already talked about, it's the biggest part of Posavie region. So it's also one of the coldest Slovenian sub-region. It's about 2,100 hectares, and with typical very small vineyards. So the vineyards are approximately 1 hectare or even smaller since the past, but now it's getting different through the years, through the history. Also, what is kind of challenging here is that the vineyards are getting quite high in altitude, especially for us. You know, we're not like Chile, but we have vineyards from 300 to 500 meters, and in such a cool climate that we are, it's I would say quite a challenge to work with. And also our specialty is complexity of the landscape, as you can see here in the picture. This is a picture of our estate, which is 23 hectare. The winery is just in the middle, and around is approximately 16 hectares, and we have also 2 different plots of vineyards. And you can see it's basically the closed amphitheater. And what is interesting here is we have a lot of diversity, a lot of forest orchards as well, and we have a lot of weather extremes. So I'm speaking about frost, I'm speaking about hailstorms and really heavy rainfalls. We get a lot of heavy rainfalls in the last part of the viticulture year, so it's getting kind of tricky to work, especially with Blau Frankish. But we can say that in the past 5 years we can took out I would say 2 to 3 good years. So yeah, about the estate, Albiana Estate is basically started since 1936. It was started as Wine Cellar Jaren, which is the surname of the owner. You can just go back one picture. So here it is. On the left, Jernei Jaren is the owner, and his wife Lydia. Jernei is the 3rd generation here. And I started working here since 2018 as an enologist, and I must say, as an enologist, I spend more time in the vineyard than in the cellar. So Dolenska can be quite tricky in terms of winemaking. So putting all my work in the vineyard, of course. Okay, so let's go further to the wine. I have here tonight our 2017 Modra Frankinia Alto. Alto means the higher line of Modra Frankinia, which we are producing. So we have the classic line to be more fruit forward and easy to drink, easy to understand. And the Alto line is expression of especially one specific vineyard, which is our highest vineyard on 410 meters. And yeah, so 2017 was considered in Dolinska, or I would say in our part, quite a good year. Usually we start the harvest around end of the September to mid October. It depends on the weather, of course. But yeah, so 2017 was quite okay. Then we do the classic, I would say, 40 days maceration after the hand harvest, of course. Fermentation in stainless steel, and then we go aging into the big barrels, which is also you will see later in the picture. So we use 3,000 liter big barrels as a traditional part of winemaking. We also use a part in the barrique barrels, which are mixed French oak. We also use some Slovenian oak. We have a good cooperage here nearby. Also, the big casks are from Slovenian oak, especially 2017 is 100% in our own barrels because we also own 10 hectares of our own forest. So we considered the possibility to try to work with our own wood, and it turns out beautifully. You know, it's I must say it's all about trying with the Frankinia. You know, the variety has so much possibilities. So I must say I'm quite positive happy with the result, and yeah. Also, one of the interesting things about Dolenska Frankinia from Dolenska subregion is we have this kind of a kick of acidity, which is kind of, I must say, untypical for the red wine. But like Dorli said, we have all of us have a beautiful freshness and beautiful drinkability about it, which we should promote it in the proper way, because this is the main reason we want to drink the wine, because of the freshness, the elegance, and to wine wants you to keep on drinking. So it's a very I must say enjoyable wine.
Thank you, Miha. So
Okay.
we have to speed up, but just a few points. No importer by now.
Right now, still working on it, so I will be happy with some suggestions if you have. I already noted down some of the guys working. So yeah, we'll also be present in Provine if somebody is interested to contact with us.
And in Blue Danube, in 2 weeks.
Blue the Danube, see you in 2 weeks, you said?
Yeah, and 14, March 13. And the shelf price in Slovenia is 22.
Yes, 22 euros. Yes.
4,500 bottles, and well, we have
also some magnums.
Yeah, and great wine, nice job. What would be the best food pairing beyond meat to this great wine is a question. And so nice one, another comment. So
in Slovenia we have a lot of good restaurants with very, I would say, typical and untypical pairing. But I must say I'm a really fan of venison, so I would go with classic venison on this wine. Because of the silky tannins, the very nice structure. Also, this wine I would recommend to open it, I would say, hour or 2 hours before, because it gets even opener. But the homemade salami or prosciutto also works out. So feel free to try.
Salami, prosciutto, venison. This is like lamb. It's not meat. It's not meat. Sorry. Good. Thank you very much, Miha. Thank you much. Guys. So nice one. Another comment. And now we go very fast to Klet Krushko and Rock. Hi, Rock.
Hello.
Thank you, Miha.
Hi.
Well right. Hello. Hi. So the floor is yours, and we hear you. Go on, please.
So if we can go to the first slide. We see our head analogist and also the CEO of our cooperative, Jure. He apologizes for today, but unfortunately he didn't make it. So I have taken his place. I am assistant winemaker in Klet Krško. We have around 100 years tradition about making wine, and we also are a cooperative, so we take grapes from approximately 130 active farmers, which supplies us with around 1,500 tons of grapes each year. We also have 8 hectares of our own vineyard in the picture. So the biggest plot that you see is the Blau Frankish plot. On the right side of this plot, we have the grapes for the Turn Premium wine that you have in the glasses at the moment. So if we go back to the company, we have around 5 hectares of our own Blau Frankish that we farm ourselves, and around 8 hectares altogether of our own vineyards, and about we will plant another 4 hectares in the next year. So this on the picture is our cellar that we mature our Blau Frankish for the premium and gourmet lines. Sorry about if you go back to the vineyard slide, please. So our vineyards are located around between 340 and 400 meters above sea level. Very windy location and with south-facing slopes. so exposures is quite good to the sun, and a lot of winds in all growing season. And the vineyard is located on limestone bedrock, so it's nice mixture of minerality also in the glass. Participation is between 700 and 900 millimeters of rain per year, so not so high if we compare with other parts in Dolenska. And the planting density is between 4 and 5,000 vines per hectare. And the vineyards are approximately between 10 on the left side and 30 on the right side years old. So it's not all the same plantation. This is basically it. We are starting with the transition from integrated farming to the organic. So we are really excited about that. We want to see the effects of that in the next couple of years. So this is basically all regarding our vineyards. We usually have around 1.5 kilo per wine, so it's quite low yield for our parts. And I think that all this is also transferred to the glass. So if we go forward with the wine sheet.
Okay.
We usually start the harvest around. Usually it's in the middle of October. For this vintage 2020, we had some early frost in the spring, but a really nice hot late summer and dry autumn that allowed the grapes to ripen to desired level. All the grapes is hand-picked. Grapes are steamed and partly fermented in oak casks for 20 days. In this case, and the other part is fermented in steel tanks. After fermentation, wine is racked to the large oak barrels between 2,000 and 3,000 liters, and there the wine is matured for another 2 years. After maturation, wine is blended in steel tanks that wait for another 2 months before bottling. So we usually bottle right after the harvest. So the wine has time to mature, and let's say wine have the rest needed before we send it to the consumer. So vintage in the glass is 2020. Alcohol is 13.0 volumes, and it has also nice acidity on 5.9 grams per liter. So it's quite drinkable and enjoyable.
Thank you. Thank you, Rok. The shelf price in Slovenia is 11 euro, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. And you have no distributor in Poland by now.
No, at the moment, no.
10,000 bottles of this specific wine was produced. Yeah. Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any comments? Thanks. What kind of oak? What kind of oak?
This wine is all in the French oak, big barrels, so between 2,000 and 3,000 liters.
Okay, big barrels, French oak. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Stay with us.
Bye.
If there's any more questions, and we're coming back to Guillaume Antalik. Well done. Thank you, Rok. Guillaume, hello.
Yeah.
Oh, you're completely white now.
Yeah. I just changed to face the light. It's better. Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much. Me again. And that will be maybe not the last time, because I might present the next one. So now I will present after the whole Blaufränkisch in Slovenia. I will present with just a couple of slides our story at Vinskaket Showcase. So how I came here, it's simply because I met my wife with Katia Shukle, and coming from Bela Crana region, so located in the southeastern corner on the border with Croatia. We met together like in South Africa in 2012. We traveled in Australia, and we came back in 2016 with the idea with the rest of the family to take the wine estates to let's say classic farm from the region to like a boutique seller with international reputation, making Blau Frankish the pillar of our philosophy. So we are currently the 7th generation, but my father-in-law is still involved. So 6th and 7th generation working together to craft the wines. We want wine that really show the place. Want terroir wine, and we are farming in sustainable way. Actually, we are already for at least 10 or 12 years now. We are officially in conversion into organic viticulture also. In terms of so here what you see here that the vineyards of Verbanca vineyard, the wine that you're going to taste, that you are tasting tonight. In terms of terroir, you can go to the next slides, maybe, Piotr. Okay, that's another slides during harvest. So the estate is 7 hectares, as I say, family owned, and Blau Frankish, we have 60 to 70% of red, and Blau Frankish represent 90% of this red. Okay, next one. No, that was the okay. So as I said, like we are pushing for the to show the place of origin, and actually we founded with few other winemakers the group Slovenska Velika Lega. The next producer, Marov, is part of it. We're promoting terroir wine like in Slovenia and across Slovenia, the Slovene terroir. And actually we have a kind of small classification, a different level, village, regional, okolish, village, and lega. We are producing actually Modern Frankinia, Blau Frankish on the 3 different levels, but tonight you are tasting the single vineyards, the lega level 2019. Next one, Piotr. Okay, so that's Verbanca vineyards. It's coming from Pleschivica, lega, the site Pleschivica, the hill. And as you can see, in terms of terroir, it's very Burgundy-like terroir. We have some clay, not of limestone. So it's very similar to what you find in Burgundy, actually. In terms of climate, again, as a French guy, I'm comparing, it's a bit like you will be during the day in summer, you will be in northern Rhone, and during the night, you will be in northern Burgundy. So we have quite diurnal variation that's bring brightness of aroma, and we manage to keep freshness also. And maybe you can go to the next, okay, to the technical sheet. So 2019 vintage, it was quite challenging vintage because for red wines. Why? Because it was cold and rainy, and late cold rainy spring. And then suddenly in June, it was hot and dry. And so the vine the flower happened in June. And when it was hot and dry, and that's trigger a lot of heterogeneity. So we work doing a lot of sorting in the vineyard to remove the bunch with 2 unripe grapes. And so we did at least 3-4 times like that, and at the end to get to keep a bit of heterogeneity, but to avoid too much heterogeneity, because then you can get quickly some rusticity in the wine. So that resulted, we are quite happy with the results. The tannins are maybe still tight, but that really reflect the vintage, basically. In terms of winemaking, it's we really make our wine in the vineyard. So we are very simple, as low intervention as possible. Basically, 3 weeks maceration, then we do malo, and then it's aged in a mix of used barrique barrel and 500 liters a barrel for 1 year, and then for 6 months in inox, and then we bottle and we leave at least 6 more months in the bottle before being on the market. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So for this Verbanka 2019, we don't have importer yet in Poland. Our idea, well, it's to start. We started to try to export just very recently, and our idea is really to show the world that we can make great wine in Slovenia, great Blaufränkisch, and especially in Bela Krajina. So we are happy to work with you guys. And the price on the shelf is 20 euros in Slovenia. Your microphone, Piotr.
Sorry. Yeah, getting old. Yeah, 20 euro the price, the shelf price.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, Guillaume, you are coming back as Marov, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah, because Uroš is on his way to China, and I think he was at the airport and he could not make it. He thought that he could, but finally he could not. So I will just say a few words about Marov. I know Uroš because we are working together. So that's not your Uroš; it's the owner of the winery, and Uroš is a head winemaker, but has also some share in the winery. So. It's a winery located in really northeast Slovenia, at the border with Hungary, Hungary and Austria. It's probably one of the driest region in Slovenia because it's the most influenced by the Pannonian continental climate. And actually, it's a winery which look quite big because they have quite some, as you see here. There are quite some investment done by the man who was on the first picture, but they're really working as like the kind of small winery and really terroir-driven wine, and not, I would not say natural wine, but kind of the border some in the mindset. And actually, they're farming their capacity to farm 50 hectares, but they're farming only 25 hectares. And Uroš, I would say, with this wine that you have today, okay, the vintage 2018, I think, Mačkovci, which is the name of the vineyards. So Mačkovci, I think you have maybe next slides. Okay, no, that's from me. Okay, Mačkovci, the name of the place where the winery is in the amphitheater. And Marov, they're working in the same association as us, Slovenska Velika Lega. And that's is top red, Lega red. And I must say that he is the one that started to put Slovenian Modrofrankinja on the map, internationally speaking, in 2011 when he started Mačkovci. It used to be considered as the more structured and powerful, but deep Blaufränkisch coming from Slovenia. And he showed the way of all of us somehow. And now I'm quite glad to see that other producers are coming out with very, very interesting wine to put in the international market. So Mačkovci 2018, he liked to play with bold bunch. In general, these wines need time to age a bit because when they are young, they can be quite tight. But now this 18 start to show. I tasted like 2 weeks ago, started to show well. But these are wines with very, very long potential of aging, basically. That's the Mačkovci vineyards, and Goriško, that's the name of the region from Pekmoje, and that's the Mačkovci amphitheater. I don't know if he's working in Poland yet. I don't remember if he told me.
As far as I know, he has no importer. The price is 35 euro.
Yeah, on the year in Slovenia is 35 euros. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the total production of this specific wine is 3,000 bottles.
Yeah, I forgot to mention for Verbanka is 2,000 bottles. So it's all the single vineyard wine is more or less between 2,000 and 4,000 bottles, basically.
Guillaume, thank you very much.
That will be it for me tonight.
Yeah, excellent wine. Congrats from Yola, from Warsaw, about your wine. Very nice wine.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, very nice. I don't know what was it about? And perfect, it's now. So perhaps it's about the Maćkovci already. Yeah. And now, thank you very much, Guillaume. And now this is Kurt Feiler to make an introduction into Austria, Blau Frankish. Hi, Kurt. Hello.
Hi, Piotr. Hi, everybody on the microphone, on the screens in Poland and elsewhere. Yeah, a very short introduction to Austrian wineries or wines. You see the map of Austria. You see that most of the Austrian wine is based in the eastern part of Austria, in Lower Austria, in Burgenland and in Styria. And there's also some called Bergland wines in Oberösterreich, Salzburg, Carinthia, Tyrol, and Vorarlberg, but it's mainly on the east part. And spoken to Blau Frankish, because it's Blau Frankish, we had Dorlis wine already. When you read Carnuntum here on the map, little north of the red Burgenland area, that's where the wine Dorlis Blau Frankish comes from. And then Blau Frankish is mostly planted in the Burgenland, but west of the Lake Neusiedler See, so in Leiterberg, Rosalia, Mittelburgenland, and Eisenberg region. And this is where the Blau Frankish mainly comes from. Next, please. Yeah, in Austria, we have in total 44,700 hectares. It's roughly 70% white and 30% red. And you see the grape varieties a little bit. It's Grüner Veltliner dominating very, very much. We've followed by Zweigelt, very interesting. And Blau Frankish is already number 4 in total production or plantation. Next, please. And we go a little bit into more figures and details. So it's you see that this 30% red grape is almost half of it Zweigelt, with totally a little bit more than 6,000 hectares, divided into Lower Austria and Burgenland very much. But because Zweigelt is very early ripening, can be grown in almost every site in Austria very well. So therefore it's spread everywhere. But then you see Blau Frankish with 6% on the total surface, 2,600 hectares totally. It's very, very much planted in Burgenland, with almost everything in Burgenland. Very little production in Steiermark and in Vienna and in Bergland, very tiny. And also in Lower Austria, so around Spitzerberg, the Carnuntum region where Dorlis is situated, is also not a bad production with 150 hectares, but a smaller one. So that's a very short introduction to Austrian Blau Frankish and the situation of red wine in general of Austria.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Kurt. That was short but brilliant. Hallo Kurt, Grüße aus Oppeln. Das ist Wojtanowski. Yeah, aus Oppeln. And now it's Georg Priller, and you're coming back as the last, but of course not last.
Okay.
Very well, thank you. Georg, if you are still with us, well, or this is Kurt coming back. Georg, hello. It's the same link. Yes. Hello.
Ta-da.
Good. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello, everybody. I'm more than happy to be part of this fantastic tastings of Blau Frankish all over Central Europe. The old monarchy, it feels a little bit like this, where all we work together to bring this fantastic fine textured variety more in front. Kurt did a fantastic introduction into the region and everything, and I would love to get a bit closer to the wine itself, to our wines and to our family. We are situated in the very eastern part, close to the Hungarian border in Burgenland, on the west side of the Lake Neusiedler See. And here in this picture, you nicely see how it works in our region. We are all more hand workers than cellar master, let me say. So we are a family-owned winery. And myself had the pleasure to take over this well-established winery a few years ago. And the big advantage that when you have to take over such a winery is that you take over vineyards with a certain age of the wines and in a certain specific vineyard sites. And one of the most fantastic variety to introduce vineyards to the class is Blau Fränkisch. Can I have the next one? As you see, I mean, when you work with vineyards and when you work mostly with varieties like Blau Fränkisch, then it's more or less not about to have the concept in the cellar, it's more to have the concept in the vineyard, and the logical result is the concept of that. That means we work from smaller 500-liter barrels, mostly with Austrian oak, but we are very open-minded, up to big wooden cask, which is most Blau Fränkisch aged. And of course, we work with some amphoras because we feel like the wines from limestone show them much better in that kind of amphora. We work with 24 hectares. All the hectares are organically certificated, which works very well in Burgenland, honestly. So here's a little view of one of the famous vineyards in our region. It's called Marienthal. It's in my neighbor village in Ocker. As you see on the soil, where are my knees? It's all about white soil, so it's high active chalk limestone. That means that it's actually a soil that you find in very cool climate wine regions. And these cool climate wine regions always brings more this citric character of a long bow of acidity. And Blau Fränkisch can handle it very well. This long bow of acidity brings enough of freshness and texture and finesse to the wines, which is very important because in Burgenland, luckily we don't have problems with ripeness nowadays. We more have to have a look to keep the freshness, and such mineral soils helps us a lot. And of course, the cool winds. Here's another view to our cellar itself. As I said before, we work with all different kinds of sizes. In case of oak, we are actually not lazy, but we are have one rule in the cellar. That means everything that influences the wines too much in their taste, in their texture, in their culture itself. Does not mean that it's bad, it's just a bit too boring for us. That's why we see more advantage in big water cask in general and let it age longer. That means Blau Fränkisch is an open secret that Blau Fränkisch needs longer than different varieties, but that shows the secret when it's open up for a while, when you show it in the glass, and the same is in the cellar, just to lay down and to wait. So our wines come after a minimum of 3 years. Yeah, this is a perfect picture. That's our house wall. No, this is just about the door, how we get in. All our wineries, with 24 hectares, we belong to one of the bigger one, but everybody of new knows exactly that 24 hectares are in the world of wines are like nothing. That means that Blau Fränkisch in 24 hectares feel very comfortable because they have enough space to be on different parts, so you can work on different single vineyards with this fine variety. Blau Fränkisch, for me, in our region, and especially in our winery, describes always something wild. The wildness goes from autumn leaves up to forest to wet earth, up and then at the same time something clear. When I have Blau Fränkisch on limestone, for example, it's more like a bit of raspberry fruit. When I have it on clay, it's more like plumberry. So I think the Blau Fränkisch can handle all this kind of soils and offers us the perfect tool to bring the single vineyards in front.
Georg, I think some started already to taste the wines as the first comments appeared. Gorgeous wine, love it, great wine. You know, that's, I don't know, they spoiled the party because they comment too early.
It's always a good sign if everybody's so motivated to taste the wines. That's very greatly. So hurry up. We have one wine in front of us, the Leiterberg Blaufränkisch from a specific single vineyard. It's called Bratschweingarten. The soil is mainly limestone and has a little bit of schist in it. It's of course organically worked. We do open fermentation. We punch down by hand. We do mostly whole berries fermentation. That means that fermentation starts slowly, goes slowly, takes about 3 weeks, more or less. And after that, we ranked it immediately into smaller barrels to do malolactic fermentation. That happens in spring. I have chosen for the 19 a little bit smaller barrels for malolactic fermentation because I had the feeling that this nicely acidity needs more air to breathe. So I started there, and afterwards I immediately ranked it into a large, big wooden cask to let it just slightly age. What I love to eat and drink with this wine is one of them is for sure lamb shoulder, or something very Burgenland is paprika chicken. When it's coming on the cream, it's slightly spicy. That's the nicest thing with the Ried Bratschweingarten. It's a very sensitive wine and it can be very polite to all the dishes. Oh, I just saw, yeah, that's a new single vineyard. That's right. He knows all of our wines mainly, but this is a quite new one. We used the grapes of this vineyard and 2 different vineyards the years before for our Leiterberg BSc, but with 2019, we started to be just focused on that vineyard. The reason for that is that I was out in the vineyard during harvest and I had the feeling that when the Blaufränkisch wines comes to a certain age, they don't not only telling the history, the story of themselves, they also tell the story where they come from. And I had the feeling that in 2019, the Blaufränkisch from Bratschweingarten had the possibility to show where they come from, and they brought a much deeper fruit balance to it and a much deeper texture. When you have it on the palate, you will feel a little bit like black tea notes. So the tannin texture for me of Blaufränkisch is not like most of the casual red wines that you find in the world of wine, which is more like coffee beans or dark chocolate. Blaufränkisch is more like black tea when it comes to a certain amount of ripeness. So a very refreshing tannin texture. The secret on this wine is when you, I'm sure when all of you have tasted it the first time and when you smelled inside, you had the feeling of something positive dirtiness. That's for me personally the impact of the lake, which comes to the little bit of autumn leaves character. But when you give it air and air, it will more open up and it will more be not like a Mozart, it will be more like a Bach.
Bach. Speaking of Bach, Dorley is practicing her concert for Sunday. Everybody, concert hall on Sunday. Yeah, so your importer to Poland, Georg, is wine tasted by Kamecki. So this is a very good choice. Yeah. And,
thank you.
And the shelf price in Austria is around 30 euro, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
6,000 bottles altogether.
When we released it.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Georg. And hope to meet you soon, or in Poland, or again in the net somewhere. Yeah. And thank you. And
thank
now,
you very much. Wish you a great day. Bye.
Bye. And now it's the last. Kurt. Hello, Kurt.
Hi again.
Hi again. Yes.
Yeah.
This is your floor. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. So now to my winery and my wines, or my wine, Blaufränkisch. This is a picture of our winery. Pfeiler Attinger Winery was founded by my grandparents in 1936. They bought this beautiful Baroque house in the center of Rust, just by chance, and founded the winery. I'm now working together with my wife in the third generation, as the third generation. Next picture, please. Yeah, that's me and my wife in the vineyard where this wine comes from. In fact, this is vineyard side Oberer Wald. where this Blaufränkisch, which is now in the glass or which you can pour now, is produced and comes from. Next picture, please. Rust is a very picturesque old town, wine center since the Roman time, and you see these beautiful old buildings and this narrow center, old center, which is Rust became bigger then, and you see what you see this the Ruster Hügelland, the chain of the small hills on the western part of the town, west of the Lake Neusiedler See. We are on the west bench of Lake Neusiedler See, and in the backyard of the town are the hills where we grow our wines on the gentle slopes. Next picture, please. Yeah, Rust is not only famous for the wine, for the sweet one especially, for Blaufränkisch as well, but also for these crazy birds, the storks, and a nice shot of one of our birds from the roof, and I wanted to share with you. Next, please. We are a winery with 26 hectares all around Rust, and we are biodynamic farming since 2008. And one very special thing, we are the only one in Austria working with cows in the vineyards. So we have a very small cattle farming with 3 cows, and the young ones, which you see in the left of the picture, are running with the old ones the whole year. We eat one on ourselves, we sell the others, young ones, after a few months, and there is a bull coming for 1 month in summer, so that we get new young ones in next year again. And in winter, the cows are in the vineyard and they mow the grass in winter. And when the new growing season starts, the cows are going on grassland so that they don't eat the grapes or the leaves of the vines. And that's a very nice situation. We also can make our own compost by that, and so have a very nice, circulated work. And for biodynamic, it's important to have also big animals. And in our case, it's not sheep, what is very common in Austria, but we have cows because we had a cattle farming very long time in the house. It's a bigger house, the winery. And so we are used to have cows, and therefore we came back to cattle farming in 2014 in this way. Next picture, please. So now on the wine itself, it is a wine that comes from limestone soil in the Oberer Wald region. You see, it is a profile of the soil from the Umriss vineyard, but it's very much the same on the Oberer Wald. And therefore you see this very thick rocky limestone, solid limestone with a very short cover of topsoil. On most places, the limestone comes up to the top, to the surface as well. But this is very typical for our limestone vineyards, this picture, as it looks like. And next, please. And then, the wine itself, it's Leiterberg DSC Blaufränkisch from the Oberer Wald. The wine was produced was hand harvested, of course, which we do for all the wines. It is fermented, it was destemmed and then fermented on the skins by natural spontaneous fermentation. Was about 3.5 weeks on the skins. Because it's a small vineyard, it's a small production as well. Only 900 bottles are produced from 2019. There will be more bottles in future because we have now a second, also old vineyard on the Oberer Wald. But this comes from the first vineyard which we bought, and it's a smaller one. And in fact, because it was a small harvest, this was an open vat fermentation with punching down by hand every day. And then the wine was directly racked into 3 small barrique-sized barrels, 1 barrel new and 2 second filling barrels. the wine was aged 24 months in the barrels, and there was one racking done. So from the barrel out in the tank and back into the barrel. And then you see the figures: 39% alcohol, 1 gram sugar, and high tartaric acid. That's typically for the limestone Blaufränkisch in the region that the acidity is very high. The wine is very fresh and crispy on the palate. This wine has a slightly reductive flavor. That's true. There was one barrel with this reductive flavor. I thought in total it is a nice point, and Blaufränkisch is a very long runner in bottle and is really a wine for 30 years. And so I can see that now very slowly, because the wine was bottled in December 21. So now almost 1.5 years in bottle already, more than 1 year, that the reductive flavor is going down and down a little bit. So it will be more fresh, more fruity, or showing more fruit and spiciness in future after more time in bottle. Yeah, that's more or less everything about the wine. The price is 32.50 euros, and my importer was also greeting me already. It's Wojciech
Wojtanowski.
Yeah.
Wojciech Wojtanowski from Poland.
Sorry, it's a complicated name, Wojciech.
Yeah, Wojciech is complicated, yes. Wojtek is easier, perhaps. Yes. But the stork you shot, you didn't shot him, you just take a photo.
No, it was the stork was just starting its new flight. And because the one we have here on the nest he's a very unprofessional builder, constructor of the net. The storks always construct on their net. They always bring new branches and so on, and they always build on their nets. And they lose a lot of their the bushes and the branches they bring, and they always fall down. And because we have these snow stoppers, they lay them on the roof, and the stork goes down the roof, takes the branches again, and then starts off and flies back to the net. And that was when he started his flight. I took the shot, and I think it was very nice.
Okay, fantastic wine. Immer schwer mit meiner Name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Das ist something in German. I don't understand it. 900 bottles only.
Yes. It's a small vineyard, as I said, and since the 21 vintage, there is a second vineyard, a bigger one on the Oberwald also. So from 21 vintage on, there will be a bigger production with like almost 3 times bigger, so 2,500 bottles roughly. But the first vineyard which we were able to work on, the Oberwald, is very small, and therefore just 3 barrels. Yeah.
Thank you, Kurt. It's pleasure.
It was a pleasure.
As always, a pleasure with you. And with your wine, and hope to meet you soon somewhere. Yeah,
yes.
In Austria, Poland, wherever in the middle. And guys, thank you all for being with us. Blau Kek Frank, first in the history presentation with single wineries and not with the organization. So that was completely chaos, but we did it somehow. Yeah. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.